Take a perfectly decent person, someone you know, someone with values, with empathy, with a moral compass they genuinely believe in. Now put them in a group, a uniform, a team, an us versus them, and watch what happens. Because something happens, almost every time, almost to everyone. The person who would never mock a stranger alone will mock them in a group. The person who would never participate in cruelty one-on-one will watch it happen in a crowd and say nothing. And the person who considers themselves a good, thoughtful human being will do things inside a group that they would be genuinely horrified to do alone. This is not a mystery. This is not a moral failure unique to certain kinds of people. This is one of the most well-documented, most consistent, most uncomfortable findings in the entire history of psychology. And the mechanism behind it is so deeply built into how groups function that no amount of good intentions fully protects you from it. Let's start with one of the most disturbing experiments ever conducted in the name of science. Stanford University. A psychologist named Philip Zimbardo randomly assigned college students, normal, psychologically screened, healthy young people, to one of two roles, guards or prisoners, in a mock prison built in the basement of the psychology department. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks. It had to be stopped after 6 days. The students assigned as guards, who had been randomly selected, who had done nothing to earn authority, began within hours to treat the prisoners with escalating cruelty, humiliation, psychological manipulation, sleep deprivation, things that none of them, just days before, would have said they were capable of. Things that the researchers watching from outside found so disturbing that the experiment was terminated. The guards didn't arrive cruel. The role made them cruel. The group made them cruel. The uniform made them cruel. Why? Why does this happen? The answer lies in a psychological process called deindividuation. When you're a part of a group, particularly a group with a shared identity, a uniform, a clear us versus them, your sense of individual identity partially dissolves. The personal moral accountability that governs your behavior when you act alone becomes diffused across the group. Shared, diluted. You stop being you, an individual with your own conscience, your own name, your own face. You become a member. And members don't carry their full individual moral weight. The group carries it, or rather, the group distributes it so widely that no single person feels it. This is why crowds do things that individuals wouldn't. Why online mobs say things that individuals wouldn't. Why soldiers have committed atrocities that they would never commit as civilians. The mechanism is the same. Deindividuation. The dissolving of the individual self into the group self, and with it, the dissolving of individual moral restraint. There is a second force operating alongside deindividuation. Psychologists call it conformity pressure, and it is far more powerful than most people want to believe. In the 1950s, a researcher named Solomon Asch ran a simple experiment. He showed people a line on a card and asked them to identify which of 3 other lines matched its length. The answer was obvious, unambiguous. A child could see it. But the other people in the room, who were actually actors, all gave the wrong answer first. And here's what happened. Around 75% of participants gave the wrong answer at least once, simply because the group had. They could see the right answer. They knew the right answer. And they abandoned it because the social pressure of the group conforming to something different was more powerful than their own direct perception. Now, take that dynamic, the power of group conformity over individual judgment, and apply it to moral situations, to moments where cruelty is normalized within a group, where the wrong behavior becomes the expected behavior, where dissenting, speaking up, refusing to go along, feels like the most dangerous, the most exposed, the most threatening thing a person can do. Most people don't go along with cruelty because they want to. They go along because the alternative, standing apart from the group, activates every ancient alarm in the human brain. And then there is what psychologists call the outgroup effect. The human brain is deeply, automatically wired to categorize people into two groups: us and them, the in-group and the out-group. And the brain does not treat them equally. Research consistently shows that people attribute more positive qualities, intelligence, warmth, complexity, humanity, to members of their own group, and systematically less of those qualities to members of the out-group. Not always consciously, not always with malicious intent, but automatically, continuously, at a level below deliberate thought. This is why cruelty toward outgroups is psychologically easier than cruelty toward in-group members. The outgroup has already been subtly, automatically dehumanized, not turned into monsters, just quietly, incrementally, stripped of the full complexity of personhood, reduced, made slightly less real, slightly less feeling, slightly less like someone whose pain fully matters. And once that process begins, once the outgroup becomes less human in the mind's automatic accounting, the restraints on cruelty loosen. Not all at once, not with a conscious decision, gradually, incrementally, one small step at a time. So what protects you from this? Knowing about it helps, but research shows it is not sufficient on its own. The mechanisms are too automatic, too deep, too woven into the basic functioning of how groups work. What the research points toward is something more specific. The protection is not good values or good intentions, although those matter. The protection is the deliberate, active preservation of individual identity inside the group. The refusal to fully dissolve into the us. The practice of asking, not what the group would do, but what I would do, as a person, with a name, with a face, with a conscience that belongs to me and not to the collective. Because the moment you are fully the group, the moment your individual accountability is completely absorbed into the shared identity, you become capable of almost anything the group normalizes. The most frightening thing about group cruelty is not that it requires monsters. It requires ordinary people, people with good values and genuine empathy and a sincere belief in their own decency. People exactly like you.